Well, here to dive deeper into the meaning of Hanukkah is Rabbi Ravski of Synagogue Emmanuel in Charleston. And we've learned a bit about Charleston's very rich history,
Yes.
and as far as the Jewish tradition and religion is concerned. You're not originally from here. Is it because of its deep roots that you created a home here at this congregation?
Yeah, so originally I'm from New Haven, Connecticut. My wife and kids and I came to Charleston just over a year ago, in July of 2020. We came down here because I started at Synagogue Emmanuel. We fell in love with it. We spent some time interviewing in different communities, but the moment we arrived here in Charleston, we just absolutely loved the community, both its history, American history, and also Jewish history, and the community itself, just absolutely beautiful, everything about it.
And I was shocked to learn that it is the oldest. One would never expect that.
Yeah, one of the denominations, the Reform Movement,
Yes.
and the synagogue KKBE is the oldest active synagogue in the country, going back to before the Revolutionary War.
And I would love to learn more about what drew you to religious life. But first, I want to talk about Hanukkah, because it's coming early this year.
Yes.
What is the year currently in the Hebrew calendar?
So we just began the year 5782 back about 2 months ago.
Very different from the Gregorian calendar that we're all familiar
Yes.
with. But when you're talking about Hanukkah and when you celebrate it, it changes every single year. And Brandon was explaining to us that it's about the cycles of the moon. So maybe you can delve a little bit more into that.
Yeah, so the Jewish calendar, the Hebrew calendar, is based, it's called a solely lunar calendar because it's based mostly on the cycle of the moon, but we have one holiday that has to be anchored in the spring, the Passover holiday. So every couple of years we have a leap year. We don't add a leap day like we do in the American calendar and the secular calendar. We add an entire month to push the calendar forward. Because a lunar year, 12 cycles of the moon going from a new moon to a new moon, is 11 days shorter than a solar year. So every year you move the holidays back about 11 days, and then every couple years we push them forward by an entire month. So Hanukkah floats around. This is actually one of the years of the earliest Hanukkahs, starting just a few days after Thanksgiving. It was only beat by a few years ago when Hanukkah and Thanksgiving coincided, and that was being able to have latkes, potato pancakes, at your Thanksgiving dinner was fantastic for all of us, because who doesn't love fried potatoes?
I love a good latke. I do. They're so delicious. And I want to talk about
applesauce or sour cream, though.
Both. Yeah, you gotta have both. And I want to talk about some of the traditional dishes as well that you serve.
Yeah.
But the actual meaning of Hanukkah, can you tell our viewers what people should be thinking about when they gather around and they light the menorah and celebrate with their families?
Absolutely. So Hanukkah is really a holiday about redemption and renewal and rededication. That's actually what the word Hanukkah means. It means rededication, because it's a holiday that celebrates really two miracles. One is that the Maccabees had a victory over the Assyrian Greeks when the temple in Jerusalem had been taken over and defiled, and they, this small little army, waged this war and beat a world power. So a real, to take another biblical reference, right? Another real David and Goliath, story. So there was the military victory, which we see as a miracle, and then there's another miracle, which is the miracle of the oil, which is that when the Maccabees went into the temple, their first act was to relight the menorah, the seven-branched candelabra that always remain lit in the temple to represent God's eternal presence. They needed a special type of oil, very pure olive oil, and they only found one small cruse of oil that was still sealed, still kosher. And it was enough to last one day, they thought. And then the menorah would go out. And miracle of miracles, the oil lasted for 8 days instead of 1, allowing them time to make more and keep the menorah lit. So that in part is why Hanukkah is 8 days long, to celebrate those 8 days that the oil burned. And it adds the second miracle of Hanukkah, which is that the oil burned for 8 days instead of 1.
It's really such a beautiful tradition, and it's a beautiful story, and I think it's something that all of us, whether you're Jewish or not, can take from and learn by. I'm so curious about some of the food. So latkes being one of them, one of my absolute favorites. What are some of the other important dishes that you must have at a Hanukkah dinner?
So it's really anything with oil, right? That's the one of the great things of this holiday is because we're celebrating that miracle of the oil, anything fried goes. Traditional foods are the latke, right, the fried potato pancake. Another really popular one is a sufganiyah, which is in America, it's basically a jelly donut. That is, if you go to Israel during Hanukkah, they take their sufganiyot to another level, right? I mean, not just jelly filled, but if you can put it into a donut, they've done it, and it's just fantastic.
Well, in the South, we love fried things here anyway, so you've got a perfect audience.
Yes.
So happy to have you in the Charleston community. Welcome to you and your family.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for sharing this with us.
My pleasure, my honor.
And how do you say Happy Hanukkah in Hebrew?
Chag Hanukkah Sameach. Happy Hanukkah.
I'm going to leave that up to you. Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you
very much. We're back after this.